Welcome back to The Real P3, where passion, purpose, and progress come together in animal nutrition. We're not just talking pigs anymore. This is the new era of The Real P3, pigs, poultry, and pets. Join your hosts, Chantel, Daniel, and Casey, Animistic's powerhouse team of animal nutrition and health experts, as they dive deep into the science and heart behind animal and pet nutrition and health. From commercial swine systems to backyard chicken flocks, from champion show pigs to your favorite couch-loving golden retriever, we're covering it all. Expect real stories, real science, and real solutions for those who feed, nurture, and innovate across species. Because here at The Real P3, we're faithfully serving through science plus heart. Subscribe now and come thrive with us.
So welcome to the Real P3 podcast. My name is Daniel Adams, and I am your host today. Today I have Brittany Hudson with me from Zinpro. And Brittany, do you want to start off by just giving us a little bit of background about yourself, and then we can get started with some of our questions?
Sure. Thank you, Daniel. So like Daniel said, my name is Brittany Hudson. I currently work for Zinpro in the organic trace mineral space. I have a bachelor's and master's both in poultry science. My bachelor's is from NC State University, and my master's is from Auburn University.
All right. So I guess the question that I always like to start with is what sparked your interest in poultry science? Because it's kind of a unique major. It's kind of niche. So what brought you to that space?
I actually attended, so NC State used to have a summer camp for high school students, the Poultry Science Summer Institute, and I attended it before my senior year of high school because I thought I wanted to go to vet school, and so I was just looking for ways to kind of get into the animal science space when I heard about this camp. And so the camp was like 4 weeks of what the degree is, or 4 days of the 4-year degree, just crammed into a week. And I walked away thinking, I like chickens. I can study birds. So that kind of really piqued my interest to like turn and focus more specifically on poultry instead of the larger animal space degree.
And then later on, were you a counselor for that at some point? I feel like you were.
Yes. I think I was a counselor for 2 or 3 years when I was in college. Chaperone. More like it. I don't know if I counseled anyone, but
oh yeah, I guess chaperone's the correct term.
Yeah, definitely was a chaperone for the Poultry Science Summer Institute for a few years.
Yeah, and I think I only did it once, but I think we did it together.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, but anyways. So was there a specific person either within that PSSI or specific person in your life that helped you realize that this was the career path that you wanted, either poultry science or going to grad school, anything in there?
Well, my high school ag teacher, Miss Donna Fulton, she is the one that introduced me to the camp and gave me the application. She has broiler breeder houses that she grows commercially. And so she had a bit of a poultry background. And so that's how she knew about it. And just talking to her about poultry and going to that camp. And then once I was at the camp, I think it was now Dr. Lynn Worley Davis, kind of her just straightforward, this is the degree. Like, this is what it is. There's no, like, nothing hidden behind the scenes. This is what you'll do, and this is how it will be. Was very just kind of real, and I appreciated that. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. And so definitely meeting her and kind of talking to her about it was, I think, what kind of really pulled me even deeper into going and doing poultry science. And then continuing in poultry science, our advisor, Dr. Kimberly Livingston, I started working for her my second semester freshman year of undergrad. And I told her I wanted to go to vet school, and she was like, no, you don't. She was right. No, I don't. But she's the one that introduced me to graduate school and all of the things you could study once you're in graduate school. And so just meeting her and really getting to learn a lot from her about graduate school and like furthering academics is what really kind of kept me involved in poultry and university.
Yeah. I think it's really cool how kind of everyone comes in thinking that the only thing you can do with an animal science or poultry science degree is be a vet. I think that's kind of the wider perception, is that that's the only job that's available. And I kind of had the same experience as you in one of her classes, the comparative nutrition course. I was like, oh, there are other things that you can do besides vet school that are really cool. And if you're not super into medicine, there are a lot of other opportunities out there.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like two ends of the extreme: vet school or farming.
Yeah, that's all.
I didn't come from a farming background, like a big farming background, so there's not something there for me to go home to continue on. Like I don't have a family farm. Like I know a lot of people had that like blessing, I guess, of like going to college and then having that something at home that they will wanted to continue to work in, which is a farm.
So what made you decide to go to grad school? What led to that decision? Was it just Kim or?
That, and I think I knew I wanted to work in science. I think a lot of working in the lab in undergrad and being very hands-on with the animals, I enjoyed it, but I knew I did not want to be hands-on with the animals every day. Mm-hmm. And so kind of being in the lab, there was like a good balance of being on the farm, in the research houses, and being back in the lab and still doing science, but with animals, and like not what you hear about normal like research with animals. This is like helping them or trying to figure out how they can be their best and keeping them healthy and keeping them kind of moving in the right direction. So I think that really kind of is what I wanted to do, was work with animals, but not just on like a 1-to-1 ratio, like what a vet would do. Mm-hmm. And so that the grad school route seemed the best because I could still do the science and still learn more, but still be around the animals.
So speaking about grad school, or I guess it could be undergrad as well, were there any specific courses that you took either at NC State or at Auburn that really stuck out to you and really sort of changed the way that you approach poultry science, or kind of made you into who you are and how you approach things?
I think if you ever take organic chemistry, I think that changes you as a person. Good or bad, organic chemistry definitely changes you. But I think specifically for poultry, definitely all of the nutrition classes I took at NC State undergrad, there was an aqua and avian, I think, nutrition course, which was the kind of starter to the comparative nutrition. In one of those courses, Dr. Liz Koutsos came and she talked about her comparative nutrition work that she's done like throughout her career. And so just hearing that she's not just poultry, even though that might be what she's talking about today, that just her career has changed so much with different species of birds over time. That was really inspiring. And then at NC State in 2020, I took protein and amino acid metabolism. It was an animal science course. And it was a very hard course, but just learning about specifically amino acid metabolism was amazing. And the professor went so in depth with that. And then at Auburn, I took macronutrients. So fats, carbs, proteins, and integration was another course that I took. It was human nutrition, but half of the class, there was 8 people. So half of the class was poultry science students. And so I think the professors kind of saw that and were helping us with, every now and then we would talk about something and they would try to integrate poultry science into that and maybe like ask us how this is different in birds compared to humans. And so just the nutrition classes that I've taken throughout my career, I think were what really kind of helped me want to focus on nutrition, as it's just nutrition is in everything. No matter what you're talking about, nutrition is involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess kind of to round out the personal side of the podcast. Looking back on your educational journey, where you're at now, what advice would you give yourself, like as a person going into undergrad, knowing what you know now?
I would definitely say don't get discouraged, because while all classes that we take have a purpose, sometimes some of the harder courses, like those organic chemistry courses or statistics courses, they're trying to understand how you'll use them day to day when you're learning about alcohols or sugars. It's kind of like you get discouraged because you're like, this will never apply to me. Why am I taking this extremely hard course? It feels pointless. And then I still talk about what I learned in organic chemistry to this day. So I think just don't get discouraged on the little things, and like the kind of randomness of what I saw as random at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those tough courses always like those semesters always felt the longest. Like I never felt like I got out of organic chemistry. I was just there forever, and I felt like I was never going to get out.
Yeah, it was 2 semesters of organic chemistry, 2 semesters of regular chemistry, physics.
It's just never, I just want to work with birds.
I was like, what happened to the birds?
Cool. So next, can you describe for us what you do at Zinpro and what your day-to-day looks like? And yes. Also, are you remote or in the office? Kind of what's your schedule like?
Yes, so I am fully remote. I currently live in Tennessee, and our main office for the United States is in Minnesota. I do travel some. I do go up to Minnesota a couple times a year, and I go to other meetings like IPSF, IPPE in January, and PSA in July. There'll be a couple other random ones that I'll pop into if needed. So what I do for Zinpro is my official position is titled the Global and Technical Research Associate, Poultry. There are 4 women in this position. We're kind of like divided into the separate species, and we focus on making technical documents that kind of sum up research studies for our salespeople to give to customers. So if there is a study done at a university and an abstract is submitted to, let's say, PSA, because it was recent, then I will kind of make it's like a summary sheet of that abstract and data. So our salespeople and our marketing people will see kind of, here's what happened at PSA, and here's the summary. Because if there's 7, 8 abstracts with a Zinpro products going, it's hard to memorize each and every single one of them. And if your customer is there, they might ask you, hey, I saw study number 5 or presentation number 5 of your 8. What can you tell me about it? Well, they'll have, I'll make these kind of summary sheets. And so they'll be able to pull that and be like, oh yeah, here's kind of the main highlights of it, Zinpro focused with the graphs. And here's kind of the summary of the study, type of birds, what treatments were used, what minerals they used. And then that's kind of the big overall picture of what happened. So that's just one thing. There are a couple of those types of sheets that we summarize with for different studies, just like I said, that go directly to customers that they might run a commercial study with, just so they can see like, oh, here's what happened with the study we ran with you. There are internal webinars, internal trainings that I will host if the researchers for Zinpro want to run a study and they want to tell everyone in Zinpro about what they learned and how kind of they can take this knowledge and share it with their own customers or add to it in their own research. Then I will put together a slide deck that kind of sums up that research and work with the researcher and the marketing team to kind of get the global message of that study and that webinar. And I will host an internal webinar and a training that helps the researcher communicate what they did and why it's important. And yeah, I think day to day, that's about what I do day to day. I've also recently started running some statistics here and there, which
fun.
what we talked about with stats being one of those courses. We run a lot of stats in graduate school, so it's good to kind of have that little like memorabilia, I guess, of graduate school, like still holding on to that, because like there's a place deep down in my heart for statistics because of how much we run it in grad school. So just kind of going back to that root is nice.
Yeah, the whole scientific communication piece I think is really interesting because I feel like it gets talked about a lot, but there's not a whole lot of training, I feel like, before you get on the job to help you like learn how best to communicate scientific principles, not only to like the normal consumer, but also to sales or marketing and like, people in corporate that are super high up that don't have the technical knowledge, but you have to try to explain some poultry concept to them. And that's really difficult, a difficult skill because
yeah. I think one thing that I've been blessed with at Zinpro is the people that I work most directly with, the salespeople, have a poultry background. And so the pieces, like, yes, they might not have the most technical background. So like you said, that science communication really kind of helps smooth out the research to someone that's about to present it to, let's say, a plant manager or someone like a customer. Because not all customers have 30 minutes to sit down and talk about science in depth. And so even being able to like summarize it quickly so they can understand it in like quick bites is a big thing. And yeah, like I said, thankfully I have mainly people with poultry backgrounds, but I think this would also be good and help people with that communication if they were like an animal science background or a ruminant background, because most ruminant people don't interact with poultry very often. Like I don't interact with ruminants at all. And so when people try to talk to me about ruminants, I try so hard to keep up, but I get lost in those four stomachs. But so yeah, that kind of like technical to I don't want to say layman's, but something that's just easy to pick up, read in a few minutes and pass along is important.
So do you want to kind of explain for our listeners what is an organic trace mineral and how it differs from an inorganic trace mineral?
Yes. So I think one thing that a lot of consumers will hear is organic, and they will go to like what you think of when you buy meat in a store or milk in a store, that type of organic. But you have to go, and here it is again, you have to go back to your organic chemistry. In inorganic chemistry, we learn that anything organic is something that's attached to a carbon molecule. And so that's what we are. We are attached to an amino acid, which we know has a carbon backbone. And that is what makes us organic, that attachment to the amino acid and that carbon backbone. So, whereas inorganics, your sulfates, so if you have a zinc sulfate, it's zinc, sulfur, and oxygen. They don't have that carbon molecule in them, so that is what makes them inorganic. Your zinc sulfates. This is really testing my knowledge. Hydroxys. There are quite a few out there, but once you ask me about them, I forget everything. That's what kind of like makes us organic, the carbon molecule.
And does that change like how available it is to the animal? Is it supposed to make it like organic versus inorganic, or organic supposed to be more effective?
Yes. So with organic molecules or with inorganic molecules in the body, you have mineral receptors, mineral uptake methods naturally found in your body, in your intestine. And there's a lot of competition because a lot of minerals can be absorbed through like kind of a few receptors. And so there's a lot of competition for all of these minerals to kind of hit only a few receptors. And so the organic trace mineral, specifically Zinpro, it is absorbed through that amino acid uptake receptor, which is also found in the gut. And so yes, there's some competition with amino acids being absorbed, there's less competition with trying to be absorbed through the inorganic or the mineral uptake receptors. So that's what helps us be more bioavailable, is that it's not competing with other inorganic mineral sources that are just naturally found in your diets, not even supplemental inorganic sources, just what's naturally found in ingredients.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess we kind of jumped into it a bit, but we forgot to talk about your products. So do you want to give us a little bit of what products you offer at Zinpro for the poultry market?
Yes. So I think our biggest one is zinc, obviously, Zinpro zinc. I think that's zinc.
Yeah.
Yes. We also have manganese, copper, iron. Actually, I have a little list right in front of me. Chromium. One thing that I know a lot of other countries do, and other species do, is they use chromium in their diets. And I think that hopefully, I don't know if this is for a fact, but hopefully the U.S. broiler industry and poultry industry will move towards using chromium if they are not already. I kind of stick to my own little corner. And so sometimes, like, what's actually happening in the broiler industry with nutrition or poultry as a whole, if they're accepting this or accepting that, sometimes I miss, because, like I said, I like to stay in my little corner sometimes. But I know other countries are also using selenium. We have a selenium product that is not available in the U.S. yet, just because it's not allowed in the U.S. yet. And so your kind of main trace minerals, zinc, manganese, and copper, are like our big three for poultry. And iron. Can't forget about iron. It's overlooked a lot, but.
So is when you're making suggestions and applying these in the field with customers, is there a specific stage in the life cycle where you feel that your products are most beneficial, or do you kind of like to have it continuously in the diet?
I definitely think continuously, just from what we know about pathways in the body, that like a bunch of immune functions in the body, and those pathways, they have trace minerals in them. So that, I think, is important to maintain trace mineral supplementation throughout the bird's life. And then obviously early on, you're trying to build up the immune system. You are trying to grow stronger bones, grow bigger birds, healthier birds. So definitely having trace minerals throughout the life cycle is very important. For broilers, even broiler breeders, because, and layers, as they're like in lay, they're pulling a lot of the nutrients from their body to put into those eggs. And so keeping that organic, or even just the trace mineral supplementation throughout their life cycle, is still very important, because they need to maintain their body while they lay eggs, or you'll lose production.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there something that you personally wish that more people in the poultry industry understood about mineral nutrition? And it may be something that we already talked about, but is there one key takeaway, I guess, that you think everyone should keep in mind when they're using Zinpro products?
I think, well, specifically for Zinpro, I think people that are using Zinpro, or people that are thinking about Zinpro, need to keep in the back of their mind that research is very important to Zinpro. They didn't just make a product and go, here, try this magical powder. It's fantastic. I think currently, with the peer-reviewed publications just on trace minerals, that Zinpro is close to 50% of just those peer-reviewed pubs. I know we are about to reach our 400th peer-reviewed publication that has been published through like universities and other researchers. This is not just what Zinpro has published. This is what other people have published globally on studies with Zinpro. And so I think it's important that people remember that we are backed by science, and we have taken a lot of time to do research on these products, and that it does mean a lot to us to maintain quality.
Yeah, I think even at, we were both at PSA just a couple weeks ago, and it seemed like there were a ton of presentations with trace minerals, specifically Zinpro products. So I think that speaks to not only the integrity of the company, the fact that you have so many publications, but also the integrity and the usability of the products.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is pretty much all the questions that I have. I really appreciate you being here and joining us today. Yeah. So I will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Mhm.